Now, I don't know what your experience was like in high school. I just want you to think back to maybe your senior year, and you got your yearbook or something, and how there was generally some type of question that they would ask people. What do you want to do when you get older? And, or when there's a 25 or 30 year, 50 or 40 year your reunion or whatever, or where are you going to be at that point? And, I was just thinking about it and remembering what some people said that they wanted to do when they graduated and, 10 years, 20 years down the line. And some, there's the kind of answers, well, I want to do something that gets me a lot of money, or I want to play in the NFL or the NBA or something like that. There's a whole lot of things that people want to do. Now, a lot of the times those plans don't work out, right? But doing is really always associated with an activity of some type, right? You're doing something. And if we think over to Colossians chapter 3, it says there twice. It says, whatever you do, right? Whatever you do, do all in the name of the Lord. Whatever you do, what have you. It's almost as though God is saying that it doesn't matter what you do as long as what you are doing is in God's name. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying go off and kill people and do it in God's name, okay? Let's not go to that extreme. All right. Sometimes I feel like I got to explain that to people. Maybe for the ones online. I don't want someone getting tried for murder and say, well, Mike Lane at Freetown told me I could do it. Anyhow. But just whatever you do all in the name of the Lord. But doing is a lot different than being. And over in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, there's just two verses that I just want to read to you real quick. But Ecclesiastes 2, verse 11, it says, thus I considered all my activities which my hands had done, and the labor which I had exerted. And behold, all was vanity, and striving after wind, and there was no profit under the sun. And then over in Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 4, it says, I have seen that every labor and every skill which is done is a result of rivalry between a man and his neighbor. This too is vanity and striving after wind. I thought that it was interesting, thinking back to high school again, what do you want to do? When I think the real question, there's nothing wrong with asking that question, but I think the question at the heart of the matter is, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What type of person do you want to be? See, even over in Colossians 3, whatever you do all in the name of the Lord, but then he says, be thankful, be compassionate, be kind, right? He tells us to be those things. The difference between doing and being is that doing, it's the activity, it's exerting something outside of ourselves, but being something is making that a part of your character, a part of who you are. Just kind of tagging on from, the sermon this morning, the idea that Christians, we are not just to do something that's kind or do something that someone sees as compassionate. We are to embody kindness. We're to embody compassion. We are to be those things. We are to be thankful. We are to be servants. We are to be faithful. You look at all of these B's that we're, supposed to be in Scripture. And if we're doing them, I guess you would say we're busy bees or buzzing around bees or something. But just that idea is very difficult to do. I know that I get up here and I preach sometimes, and sometimes maybe I deliver a sermon with the expectation that it's supposed to be easy. And it's not. It's a daily struggle that everyone goes through on one level or another. You might be a kind person, And at the same time, moments when you are not compassionate. Or you might be a kind person, but struggle with being judgmental. So you are what? Being judgmental. The opposite of what we're supposed to be. It's a process. And we have to focus not necessarily so much on what it is that we are doing, but what it is that we are becoming. In the idea of a congregation, are we just doing worship? Are we just showing up because the sign out front says classes at 9:30? Or are we being closer together? Are we being a family? Are we being of one mind, of one body, of one spirit? Are we just doing things, or are we just being things? One of the ways that can help you as you go through this upcoming week, don't ask yourself in the morning, because most people do, what do I have to do today? And we run through this whole list of errands. Ask yourself, who do I want to be today? It can be that simple. Just asking yourself that question. And psychologists say that if you do something consistently for 30 days, it becomes a habit. You do that every day for 30 days, and you're going to wake up not wondering who you want to be, but you are going to know who you were supposed to be. And eventually that's going to shine through. And then at the end of the day, you ask yourself, was I the person I intended to be? If not, what happened? Did you veer off somewhere down the lane? Did someone say something or do something that stopped you from doing that? Are you letting other people live rent-free inside your head, just making you go crazy? Who do you want to be when you walk out these doors? We should all pray for each other that we are being the type of Christian. Even the Army said, what? Be all you can be? All right? It's kind of the same thing with God. You be the best Christian that you can be. You, like the Army, put on the full armor and be all that you can be. I'm praying for you. I know your brothers and sisters are praying for you as well. But again, to tag on to this morning, if you need to call someone, you should have that person. You should have someone to help you be accountable. I pray that your week goes easy, but I know there's times where it's not going to be. Focus, though, on who am I going to be today? Who does the Lord expect me to be? And was I that person? If you weren't, don't beat yourself up about it. God gives you another day. That's another opportunity to be the person that you can be. Stop getting down on yourself. We are imperfect, just trying to do the best that we can. But if there's anything that you need that I or anybody else here can help with, please let us know while we stand and while we sing.